Hi, Brittany. Can you hear me okay?
Oh, yes, I can. I don't know why, but every single time I join Zoom, it's like, would you like to turn on your audio? Yes, I've said yes a million times.
Well, thank you for turning on that audio. Your day is
No
going
problem.
fine in spite of the back-to-back-to-back interviews.
Oh, it's going great. And I'm getting to see all these like nice places. You have so many cool pictures.
Thank you.
And
My wife is
it's not a
very
bad.
tolerant of decor and pop culture, fortunately. Uh, is your entire place of residence like the background behind you? It's just
Yes, it's
gray.
entirely gray. There's nothing near me. It's actually really funny. I was joking I should put a plant here, and then I was like, oh, but then I'm just gonna look like Zach Galifianakis and between two ferns, and somebody's already doing that so well, so I can't I can't, you know, encroach on his territory. So
Right. Gimmick
I've done the
infringement.
best I can to create a little mini studio.
I think it looks wonderful, but actually, that's something I am curious about for people who are in entertainment. If their walls are just nonstop memorabilia, or if you would never know that an actor lives there because there's nothing about their craft. Which are you?
Probably the second. Yeah, I feel like you wouldn't know I was an actor if you walked into my house
There you go. But not
at
just an
all.
actor, not just an actor or writer or producer. I'm going to ask you about that in a little bit.
Of
But
course.
first, the new movie, The Marijuana Conspiracy. When was it made? How would I know? Because it was filmed in the 1970s, per se.
Yeah, so we shot it 2 years ago. But yeah, it takes place in 1972 in Toronto, and it was quite a little makeover that our city got for a minute for some of the outdoor stuff and all of us with wardrobe and everything. But yeah, we shot it 2 years ago.
Was it easy for the people on the set, do you know, to actually get all the wardrobe in the cars and to make it time appropriate?
I honestly can't imagine it would have been, but they did a phenomenal job. Yeah, we had such incredible costumes. The makeup was perfect. We had all of the set deck was incredible. I mean, it must have been a challenge for them, but a lot of people stepped up because they really wanted to help make this movie look and feel as period perfect as possible. So we had a great team of people who worked very hard.
I can imagine when you see a New York movie. I'm dialing in from New York. When you see
Yeah.
a New York movie that's set in the 1970s, you know, okay, there's the 1970s bus, there's the 1970s cab. And then if you watch the background intently, you'll just see, oh, they're just driving around the block. It's
Yeah,
the bus, it's the
just
same
one
cab.
block. So often that's how it is too. You're able to shut off like this much street and it's just this back and forth. Yeah, no,
Exactly.
but we had a lot of really great support and people really wanted to do everything they could to make it look as good as possible. So we were very lucky.
You are an Ontario native. The movie
I
takes
am.
place in Toronto. Was everything actually filmed in Toronto?
Yeah, we filmed everything in Toronto. We used some of the older landscape down by the water, which was really fun as well. But yeah, we shot everything in Toronto, and it was pretty cool to do a film in Toronto based on a story that took place in Toronto. And yeah, it was fun. Little hometown story.
Cool. Growing up, I wasn't aware that so many of the movies that I love that took place in New York were actually Toronto.
Mm-hmm.
Are
Oh,
there
Toronto's
movies?
everywhere. Toronto's Boston, it's Chicago, it's New York. We're just we're every place. Even Jason Momoa is here filming right now in some I don't even know where his show is supposed to take place. It's
Who
magic.
doesn't love
I don't
Jason
know.
Momoa? He's just on that short list of everyone loves that guy, right?
It really is. He just seems so lovely.
It's him, it's Dwayne Johnson. There's that list of 10 people that you go, I love that guy. And people go, well, what do you know about him?
Nothing.
I don't know. Smiles.
Jason Momoa's got long hair.
Exactly.
That's
But
that's about my knowledge.
speaking of long hair and you, had you worked with anyone from the movie before you filmed it?
Yes, I had worked with Luke Billick before, and Craig produces a series that I had done an episode of. But Luke and I had done a film together before, and we're quite good friends, so it was really fun getting to see him again. We didn't have really any moments together on set, but we did get get a chance to hang out on set a couple of times, which was nice. All of the women I had never met before. We had a little get together back pre-pandemic days. We went to a restaurant we met, which was lovely, but it was really fun getting to develop these new friendships, especially because, you know, the women in the movie, these characters didn't know each other really. So there's also that unique thing of developing these relationships with the people that are playing your roommate and your, you know, your buddy. So it was kind of neat to build those relationships while also building them in the film.
I can imagine. Now, one of the horrifying things that you learn as a kid is when people are eating in commercials, you realize it's not the actual food that they're advertising. There's such things as like set dressers and food dressers, and you find out that there's like paste inside that McDonald's sandwich. Can you say what the substituted substances were on the set for anything that involved smoke? If not, just go next question, Dan.
I believe they were all natural herbs. So we weren't smoking tobacco. We weren't smoking marijuana. I can't remember exactly what it is. I want to say it's catnip, but I don't know if that's real. So don't quote me on that. But for some reason, that's what I feel like is, that's probably so wrong. They're gonna be like, what are you talking about?
That's a great story. And never
for me, that feels real.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go with it was catnip.
Wow, that's great. Usually when you do a movie, even if it has no budget, before it happens, they go, we want you to know what you're going to be portraying and acting around. And here, take some ballet lessons, learn it. And even though the person just has one scene where they're watching ballet, they don't actually do ballet. Is there any kind of prep that you had to do related to this role? Because it's like, well, you have to know how to act like you're stoned, whether or not you've been stoned. You have to know how to say words related to the culture. Was there any prep that you needed to do related to that?
So for me, most of my prep came in, there's like a couple of scenes where my character's dancing, and I'm a dancer by trade. Funny that you mentioned ballet. I actually went to the National Ballet School and studied ballet. So I was a ballerina and contemporary dancer. And there were a couple of scenes where I'm supposed to be dancing, and I was like, I have no idea how people moved in the 70s. I don't know how to do this. So I actually like watched dance videos of people from the 70s. I was like, oh, I can do that. Yeah, it's near the 60s. They're still doing 60s dances. Cool. So that, oddly enough, was part of my prep in terms of movement quality. When it came to the drug use and stuff, a lot of us just sort of watched videos. We spoke with Craig. We had a lot of really great direction when it came to that. So personally, there was no prep on my end, but yeah, we had great people on board who were able to sort of give us direction, like, oh, you don't like that. I was like, okay. But we had a great team of people who were willing to sort of hold our hand and help us navigate that side of things, which was great.
That's wonderful. And when I go on your IMDb page, this is like 5 projects down, which says, hey, she's working a lot. There's The Love in Whitbrook, et cetera, et cetera. Is that even incomplete, that there's even more than is on your IMDb page? Stuff that you can't talk about?
There are a couple of projects. Yeah, I have a film coming out at Christmas that I just finished. I start shooting another one on Monday or Tuesday this week, which is really exciting. The same day that the film premieres, I start shooting another movie. And yeah, I've got a couple of things going on. I'm working on a project that I'm sort of helping on the creative side with a film, with someone that I met on a film a few years ago. So we're working on that together. And yeah, I've got a couple things in my back pocket. Starting to try to write a little romance movie too. So it's been fun. I feel very lucky too, after the year that the world has seen. I feel, you know, I don't for a minute take it for granted that this has been a really, really lucky year for me in terms of work. And I'm very grateful that I've been able to continue working, because it's just been such a mess for so many people. And I don't take that for granted. So I feel very, very lucky that it's been busy for me and that it's continuing to look like that. So yeah.
But the projects that you do, as I mentioned before, not just an actress, writing, producing, and you just mentioned that you're trying to do your own romantic. rom-com?
Yes,
Do we say rom-com? Okay, cool.
rom-com.
Something like Wildlife Quest has nothing to do with all these roles. And it's interesting to see that we can just put you in a reality-oriented place and you thrive with that. Is
Thank
the
you.
long-term play to be a writer slash producer slash actress to do everything?
Yeah, I think so. I'd even like to try my hand at directing eventually. I think that, for me, I've been in this industry for so long. I actually started acting when I was 6. So, I took a number of years off and had my formal education and then came back to acting. But I think something that's been really fascinating for me has been learning about all of the different sides. I've worked as a junior producer. I have done craft services. I have been an AD. I've worked pretty much on every part of it. And I think I'm always interested in learning more about how all of these things come together. So for me, being able to create my own material, being able to act is the absolute dream, but being able to create my own material, being able to influence material, host things, it's all just fun for me. So as long as people are willing to let me run wild, I will.
Well, a couple of questions that have nothing to do with anything we've spoken about. And the first one is your Twitter profile. The bio says, cool, cool, cool. Is that a reference to Community?
It absolutely is.
So you're on Team Abed.
100%. Yeah. I've watched that series twice through now, and I just love it so much.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Kindred spirit right there.
Yes.
In terms of Ontario and Toronto,
Yeah.
one thing that I have no idea about as a New Yorker is when you realize that you could be totally based there and not have to move to LA or New York to make it as a full-time performer.
Yeah, it's funny. I actually have my green card. So at the beginning of the pandemic, the plan was to go spend half the year in LA and come back to Toronto. And that just did not happen because I can't really travel. And there's, it's just been such a crazy year. So I stayed in Toronto, and I really do think, especially with how we've been transitioning as a result of the pandemic, I think that's really going to influence how people navigate where they live and where they're based, because the industry is changing so much. All of the auditions are happening like this, or you're sending in a self-tape. And if somebody really wants you and you're really right for the project, they're going to bring you in no matter what, as long as, you have the papers to work or all of that stuff is sorted. So I think people can kind of live their dreams wherever they want to at this point. I do think LA and New York, they're kind of still the hierarchy of the industry. And I don't know that will change, but Toronto's pretty cool. We've got a pretty decent film industry here. So,
Sure.
It's not a bad place to be based.
Two of my favorite shows that I discovered as a result of the pandemic were Ontario shows. So
Really?
totally right.
Amazing.
Letterkenny and Bit Players. Are you familiar with either?
Not the second one.
It's a CBC Gems show.
I have to watch it.
Hey, you don't have to. You don't have to do anything. You're free.
I love it.
But my last two questions for you, and then you are actually free. Obligation is.
No, it's been so nice.
Who is your favorite musical artist of all time?
You just stumped me. I don't know. Oh my gosh. I genuinely don't know. I've always been somebody who listens to kind of all sorts of music. Growing up, Cher was a very popular artist in my house. So I listened to a lot of Cher, the Beatles as a child. But I don't know that I have a favorite. Is that terrible?
No, and that's super ironic because the last interview I just taped was Cher's son, Chaz Bono. And I said, Chaz, who's your favorite musical performer of all time? And Chaz said, I don't really listen to music, but the Beatles. So
that's so funny. Yeah, I think I'm also one of those people where, as so many of us are, my musical tastes have changed so much over the last few years and, throughout my life. And I think Spotify has really opened up a world of music for me. So I think I have like a very distinct taste right now. I just don't know if there's one particular artist that I love more than another.
Fair. Well, the closer, feel free to use as much self-promotion, name your social media accounts or not, and tell people to see the Marijuana Conspiracy. But any last words for the kids?
Any last words for the kids? Just be happy. Do the things that make you happy. Also watch The Marijuana Conspiracy on April 20th. It's available on demand and digital, and you should watch it because it's great.
That's the most clever release date ever for a movie.
Right? Yeah.
Exactly.
That was definitely planned.
Thank you so much for your time. Just keep up the great work you're doing.
Thank you so much. Such a pleasure to talk to you.
My pleasure. Take care.
Bye.
Paltrocast.